There's some questions from our audience. Yes, standing up, you can come up and please, brief questions, so because we have a lot of interest.
Zalmayev, I'm alum of the Harriman Institute, a Ukrainian American from Donetsk, from the eastern part of Ukraine. I just came from there, and there's currently an understanding in Ukraine that Putin has already achieved his goals, and what we can expect from now on is a rollback of the sanctions regime, that he has in effect created this frozen conflict in eastern Ukraine, similar to what he did with the two republics in Georgia, that from now on, there will be a chipping away at the sanctions. Do you think the sanctions have been effective? Do you think the sanctions should be continued and that they have a potential to bring about a change in Putin's behavior? If not, what do you think should be done in the months ahead? Thank you.
Well, that's a short question with a short answer. I'm not convinced that anyone has achieved what they wanted in Ukraine. I think the situation is quite fluid. We saw actually when the Ukrainian forces began to win that was actually when the troops were brought in. From regular army forces from Russia that were there supposedly on vacation. So it can change either way. Sanctions as opposed to sanctions, I'm not sure always are the best way to deal with ongoing aggression. Sanctions take a while to take hold. In fact, well, maybe not until next year or the year after that someone says enough. These sanctions really are beginning to hurt our economy, but right now, the effects, they may be uncomfortable for some, but more of the effects actually come from Putin's own sanctions imposed on importing Western foodstuff, which means that poorer quality but more expensive Russian goods are what people have to buy. So I think we need more than that, or we need different kind of sanctions. Certainly, personally, what I would like to see, is defensive lethal aid for Ukraine, and so you can, they have very modern, I guess, T-90 tanks now from Russia that really are armored in a way that classical anti-tank weapons don't pierce. So that's not offensive weaponry, but that's defensive. I would like to see a much stronger or application of anti-money laundering laws, much more forcefully, better enforced on the financial centers in Europe, because there's a strong cost to actually taking in a lot of laundered money, and that's money that belongs to, that has been stolen from people, but is in the hands of the people supporting Putin. And then perhaps moving beyond that, maybe instead of sanctioning individuals who are guilty or we think are sort of behind certain policies, you might want to extend, if this is legally possible, to their wives and mistresses and children. You can see major Russian figures whose children have graduated my alma mater. And I find that hard to believe when their father is basically denigrating Western ideas of liberal democracy while his daughter is taking CC.